Oh god, he's in there, Bailey, in the mid. He has the ability outside of it. Right here, he's on me, Bailey! I skewered him! Let's go!
So in this second weekend of the second Halo Infinite technical preview, we have finally had a chance to take a look at Halo Infinite Big Team Battle. And the question is it good? Is it bad? Does it live up to the hype? Were there revolutionary changes made to Big Team Battle? For the most part, from what I've seen, it seems like people are enjoying it. They either love it or they like it. I haven't seen too many people that don't like it or hate it. How am I feeling about it personally? I thought it was fun. I thought it was a lot of fun. But I thought that it was fun in a similar way that I thought 4v4 Arena was fun. Right? Because I do like the Halo Infinite sandbox and the physics and the movement and the gunplay. And so for those same reasons, I enjoyed Big Team Battle. Big Team Battle does have more players. It's 12v12. You also will see a lot more vehicles in Big Team Battle than you will in 4v4. So it does offer some new experiences that you don't get in 4v4, and I enjoyed that stuff as well. But how am I feeling about Halo Infinite Big Team Battle right now? I thought it was fun. I liked it. It felt like BTB to me. I don't think it was anything revolutionary. 343 did make some changes to how BTB usually works, and they added some things. And I gotta say, I don't think I like any of those changes at all. But before we really get into that, before we get into all the new additions to BTB this time around, I want to talk about starting weapons. And I guess that is one of the changes. You start with an assault rifle and a sidekick in Halo Infinite BTB, whereas in previous Halo games, most of the time, a lot of the time, you spawned with a precision weapon. But in BTB, as far as we know, you just start the match and you respawn with an assault rifle and a sidekick. Now, for those of you who didn't see my last video, I uploaded it before we got to play Big Team Battle. And basically what I talked about in that video was how 343 should at least consider BR starts or precision weapon starts for Big Team Battle in Halo Infinite. I talked about how I think having AR and sidekick as a starting weapon might not play too well. I presented the possibility that one team could gain control of all the precision weapons on the map and control the precision weapon spawn points and basically lock down the map, and the other team that doesn't have those precision weapons won't really stand a chance because they're spawning with an assault rifle and a sidekick, and the BR and the commando are much more dominant at longer distances than the assault rifle and the sidekick. And while that doesn't seem to be the case with how BTB plays in Halo Infinite, I also presented another possibility. I presented the possibility of there being an abundance of precision weapon spawns in each base, to which I said this. Now, if the BTB maps in Halo Infinite are indeed absolutely littered with precision weapons, like there's so many of them that people are picking them up all the time, well then at that point it's like, okay, then why don't you just spawn me in with it? You know what I mean? Do I really have to run to, why do I have to run to that weapon rack right there every single time to get my precision weapon before I can, go out and fight? You know what I mean? Just spawn me in with it to eliminate that extra step of just running to the weapon rack. And I absolutely stand by what I said there, because every time I spawned playing Halo Infinite BTB for the roughly 7 hours that I did, at the time I'm recording this, I've played about 7 hours of BTB. Every time I respawned, almost every single time, I ran to a weapon rack to grab a precision weapon before I pushed out of my base. Pretty much every single time. I ran to that weapon rack to get my BR, and then I pushed out. I respawned, ran to that weapon rack to get my commando, and then I pushed out. You can eliminate that little sequence right there where I have to spawn, run to a weapon rack, grab my precision weapon, by just spawning me in with the precision weapon. This does not feel like an evolution This is a downgrade. We're going backwards here. In previous Halo games, you spawned in with your precision weapon. So as soon as you spawn, you can go out, you can push out, you can scavenge the map for other things, you're ready to go. In Halo Infinite, I have to run to a weapon rack every time I spawn to get my precision weapon. And you're doing yourself a disservice. I mean, you don't have to, but you're kind of doing yourself a disservice if you don't. Because there are plenty of weapon racks in each base. I think there's 2 on the left of the base, 2 on the right side of the base, 1 on top of the base, and 1 below the base. So I believe there's 6. There actually might be a couple more than that, I'm not exactly sure, but there was an abundance of precision weapon spawns. And so with how many precision weapons there are in and around each base, and with how relatively quick those weapons respawn, it was pretty easy to get your hands on a precision weapon when you respawned. And so me and many others would run to a precision weapon rack to grab a BR or a commando every time they respawned, and then they proceeded to move out. Then they proceeded to push out and scavenge the map. Again, that feels like multiple steps backwards. I do not see how 343 sees that as evolution. I don't think I got a single, maybe I got 1 assault rifle kill in BTB, and I think I got about 3, maybe 4 sidekick kills. Those are the starting weapons, and I almost had no kills with them in playing 7 hours of BTB, because I always had a precision weapon. Oh, if you always had a precision weapon in your hand, then why are you even complaining? Because at that point, just spawn me with it so I don't have to run to a weapon rack every time. This just, I don't understand this decision from them. There's a lot of decisions I don't understand from 343, but especially this one. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. I don't get it. What was the thought process here? And the answer here is not to take away precision weapons so that we do have to use our assault rifle and sidekick more, because then when you do that, there's going to be more engagements where a player with a precision weapon is fighting a guy at longer distances who only has a assault rifle and a sidekick, and they can't really compete against somebody who has a battle rifle or a commando. So taking away precision weapons is not the answer. I think the solution here is obvious. Just spawn players in with a precision weapon, a commando or a battle rifle, or whichever one we think is the weaker of the 2 precision weapons, spawn us in with that. Now, one of the arguments people had for why they didn't want BTB and Halo Infinite to be precision weapon starts, or more specifically BR starts, is because they felt like vehicles would get shredded and they felt like players would get laser beamed across the map. That wasn't my experience at all. I actually saw several people dominate in vehicles, and I did not feel like I was getting lasered, nor was I lasering people with the precision weapon most of the time. And even in situations where I did get 4-shotted by the BR, or I 4-shotted somebody else by the BR, it didn't feel cheap. It didn't feel like I died too quick. It just felt normal. It felt fine. In BTB and every other Halo game, there was a mode where you spawned with precision weapons, where you spawned with a battle rifle, and I felt like the precision weapon starts played fine in BTB. Even in some of the games where it was easier to shoot across the map with your starting weapon, it didn't feel broken. It just felt like that's how it is. It felt fine. There were still reasons to move around the map. There were still reasons to pick up other weapons, get in vehicles, grab grenades, grab equipment, gain control of power positions on the map, push the objective, whether that's the flag or the bomb. There was plenty of reasons to move around the map in other Halo games when you were spawning with precision weapons, when you were spawning with the battle rifle. And so this whole idea that having precision weapons in BTB would stop players from moving around the map and getting in vehicles and picking up other weapons is just completely absurd. In my last video I made before I played BTB, I was leaning towards BR starts or precision weapon starts being better for BTB than AR sidekick starts, and now I definitely think it should be precision weapon starts. And if you're still against that, just let me reiterate again, it's not hard for every player to get a precision weapon when they respawn, because of how many weapon racks there are and how quick the respawn time is. So at that point, everybody can have a precision weapon. Every body can be shooting at each other with a battle rifle or a commando. Just eliminate the part where I have to run to a weapon rack every single time I respawn to get that weapon. You know, kind of like what we did in every other Halo game. Now let's talk about some of the new additions to BTB this time around. First off, vehicles. I thought vehicles were going to play a much bigger role in BTB this time around. And if anything, I felt like there was a scarcity of vehicles compared to previous Halo games. Like at the beginning of the match, I think there's like one Warhog and one Mongoose that spawns in each base. I could be wrong on that, but it's not a ton of vehicles. The way they bring vehicles into the map this time around is they have Pelicans come in and drop them off. Instead of telling me that the Pelicans are going to be dropping off vehicles, they could have just told me that the Pelicans are going to be dropping off ghosts. Because that's pretty much what it dropped off every single time. Every time I saw a Pelican dropping off a ghost. Almost every time. Even late game, it was still dropping off ghosts. I seen the Pelican drop off one Banshee, one Scorpion, and then there was 2 games where there was like a Wasp in play. But for the most part, I didn't see a much diversity in the vehicles on the map at all. For the most part, the Pelicans were just dropping off ghosts from my experience. And really all I seen was, well, mostly what I seen was mongooses, whatever you call them, warhogs, and ghosts on the map. So we got this giant BTB map, and I feel like there was less vehicles on it than some of the smaller BTB maps we've seen in Halo games in the past. Now, me personally, I do like vehicles in BTB. Obviously, vehicles should be in BTB, but I'm not a vehicle guy as much as some other people are out there. Like, if the map isn't littered with vehicles, I don't have a huge problem with that personally, but I know there's a lot of people that do love vehicles. And from how they were describing BTB, I'm just saying, it sounded like vehicles were going to play a much bigger role in this, and I just don't think they did at all. I mean, there's a lot of times where by the time one of the better vehicles, the heavy vehicles, did get dropped off, the game would end. And like I said, even in late game, I still had Pelicans dropping off Ghost. Now don't get me wrong, the Ghost is pretty strong in Halo Infinite, but still, it's a Ghost. Also, side note, does the Ghost in Halo Infinite remind anybody of the CE Ghost? Because when you move it around, when you're moving around in the Ghost, it makes like a loud, like humming type of noise, whatever you would call it. The noise that it makes as you move around. I don't know how many of you remember that from the CE Ghost. It was loud just by moving around with it. So in that sense, the Halo Infinite Ghost kind of reminds me of the CE Ghost. Just a little side note there. And also, when it comes to the Pelican flying in and dropping off vehicles, that kind of just felt like a gimmick to me. Very, very unnecessary. You have this big Pelican fly in and then slowly descend, and it just drops off a ghost. Just drops off a ghost. Yay! And then another Pelican comes flying in, and then it slowly descends, and it just drops off another ghost. Like, yeah, ooh, this is real cool. Yeah, I think the way vehicles and weapons were placed on the map in static locations in previous Halo games was fine, and I would actually prefer that. I don't like random elements, and even though most of the time the Pelican is dropping off a fucking ghost in the same location every time, sometimes it is a different vehicle, and I don't see a problem with spawning weapons and vehicles on the map the same way we did in the other Halo games. It's just static locations. Like, I don't see the problem with that. I don't think it was boring. At least, I think it was better because you knew where certain things were going to spawn, and if anything, it kind of added variety, because the vehicles would spawn in different locations. The Scorpion would spawn over there, the Banshee over there, the Wraith over there. In Halo Infinite, the Pelicans were dropping the vehicles off at the same spot, the same location every time. So, not a fan at all of Pelicans coming in to drop off the vehicles. It just seems very unnecessary. Also, let's talk about the ordnance drops. No, not like Halo 4 ordnance drops where you get a certain amount of kills or a certain amount of points and then you can call in a personal ordnance and grab a weapon of your choice or a power-up or an ability. These are ordnances that just randomly drop down from the sky onto the map in various locations. And which weapons are inside of these drop pods varies. I think it can either be a hammer, a skewer, a sniper, or a rocket launcher. I think those are the 4 different weapons that you can have inside of these weapon ordinances, at least on the map Fragmentation. As I just said, I am not a fan of random elements, and I understand BTB is not supposed to be this ultra competitive mode. It's more for the just, mess around, have fun, casual type of gamers. And even competitive players like playing BTB as well. I love BTB. But I just don't feel like some of the changes 343 made to BTB this time around really added to the fun or added to the experience. If anything, I think it kind of took away from the experience. In the other Halo games, you did have static weapon and vehicle locations where your weapons and vehicles spawned in the same spots every time. And I don't think having random weapon ordinances in Halo Infinite and having a Pelican drop off a random vehicle after however many minutes, I don't think that really adds to the fun or to the experience. If anything, I think it kind of takes away from it because you don't know where the vehicles are spawning or what vehicles are coming in or where all the power weapons spawn. You see an ordnance drop down over there, you have to run to it to figure out what's in it. A lot of the times for me it was a fucking hammer, and I didn't really want the hammer on a big map like Fragmentation, so I definitely prefer knowing where my vehicles and weapons are going to spawn. But another reason I don't like the weapon ordinances in Halo Infinite BTB is because they are random. You don't know which weapons are inside the pod, and I don't think you can time when and where the drop pods are going to appear. And so it can make for unfair situations. Like, for example, I want you guys to take a look at this clip from my stream the other day. I'm getting shot in the back. This guy catches me off guard. I run off of a ledge, fall down a little bit, and right when I do that, an ordnance drop comes down right next to me. And guess what? It's rockets. So now all of a sudden, because of a random element, I have rockets. And that guy that was shooting me in the back doesn't. So I grab those rockets, jump back up the cliff, and kill that player. Out here for me.
Acquired.
Help! Oh, I popped it. Let's go!
Ordnance incoming. Shield boosted.
Rockets!
Dynamo grenade.
Alright, I'm coming with rocks there. Alright, I missed.
Okay, see that right there? That's a problem. That's why I don't like random weapon spawns. Because this guy right here, he started shooting at me. I drop down, a random rocket spawns down here. I pick it up, I come back up and kill him.
So that's what I mean by weapon ordinances can lead to some unfair situations. Because that guy, he caught me off guard, he had the advantage. And then, thanks to the Halo gods, they threw me down a rocket launcher. And then I could just easily kill the guy. So, if that was an actual static spawn for the rocket launcher in that location, then that's something you can predict. That player that was shooting at me could know that, hey, that's where the rockets spawn. But this was just random. Next thing I want to discuss are the loot caves. Yeah, those were pretty underwhelming. Kind of like I thought they would be. I like interactive elements to maps. I think that's cool. But these loot caves are pretty fucking lame. So first off, there's not a lot of goodies inside. Sometimes there's like one power weapon and like one power up and a couple other average weapons. Sometimes there's like 2 power weapons and a power up, a piece of equipment. There's not much in there. And there shouldn't be. You shouldn't have a bunch of power-ups and power weapons in one location, especially in something like a loot cave that isn't hard to get into, to get access to. But as time went on, as I played more and more BTB, I opened the loot caves less and less. Because for one, there are power weapons and power-ups that spawn in other locations in the map, and you don't have to hack into the loot cave. And two, if I could get myself a precision weapon, which wasn't hard, most of the time I was rocking 2 precision weapons. I had the BR and the Commando, because if you could get close to the enemy's base and you could catch them off guard when they're spawning with their assault rifles and sidekicks, you have a massive advantage when you have a precision weapon. So that was kind of my go-to. Try to catch these people running around with assault rifles and sidekicks while I'm shooting them with a precision weapon. Like, I don't need a skewer or a sniper or a rocket launcher to kill these guys if I have a BR and they have a assault rifle sidekick. Also, to gain access to these weapon vaults, you have to deploy your personal AI. They hack the door. And I forget how long it takes. I think it takes like around 20 seconds. It takes a little while. And then you have to stay within a certain radius. If you walk too far, then it stops hacking the door. I thought that was really lame. And then when the door finally opens, there's not much in there. And then if you're sharing with a teammate or a couple teammates, then sometimes you don't even get anything. Sometimes there's nothing for somebody to pick up because there isn't much. And like I said, there shouldn't be much. There shouldn't be a ton of powerful gear in one location. You know what they should do? And this is something that they do in Halo Infinite, and they've also done in all the other Halo games. What you do is you take these powerful weapons and grenades and equipment and power-ups, and you scatter them around the map, and you have them spawn that way. Which they do in Infinite with some weapons, and they've done it in all the other Halo games. And I don't think the loot caves serve much purpose. I don't think they need to exist at all. And I don't think they really add much to the experience. Like those locations, the loot caves, instead of making them loot caves, just have it like it's a part of the map. It's a part of the map. You don't have to hack it. You just walk in, the door opens, and maybe there's one power up or power weapon in there. You know, nothing too special. It's just a part of the map. It's not something special like a loot cave. It's just a location with a room. You walk up to the door, it opens, you go inside, you grab the skewer or whatever's in there, and you walk out. I think that would flow much better, and I don't think that would take away from the gameplay at all. I don't think the loot caves add much to the experience. They're just really unnecessary, and it's kind of annoying to have to sit there and wait to hack the door when you could just be off getting kills with the weapons you already have, your precision weapons or the power weapons that spawned outside of the loot caves. Now let's talk about some of the game modes that we got to play in Halo Infinite BTB. In this Flight 2, there's 3 different modes that we play on one map, Fragmentation, and that is Slayer, Capture the Flag, and Total Control. First off, Slayer, it's still Slayer. Total Control, that's their new game mode. I don't like it. There's for those of you who don't know, Total Control, there's 3 points of interest, A, B, and C. And you stand in those zones to capture them, and you can only score if you capture all 3. Once you capture all 3, you get 1 point, and then the zones, they go away and they reappear in different locations. And you have to cap all 3 of them again to get another point, and once a team hits 3 points, they win. I'm not a huge fan of this mode at all, not necessarily because it's just awful, but I think it kind of takes away from... I don't think it's as fun as some other modes that you could play in BTB. And I also think, if anything, they should have just done strongholds for BTB, where if you have 2 points captured, you start scoring. Instead of this, where you have to cap all 3 and then you get 1 point, and it's not exciting. And like I said, there's other modes in BTB that are much more fun. I mean, think of Capture the Flag, right? You spawn at your base, you have to defend your flag while also going to the enemy's base, grabbing their flag, taking it back to your base, and scoring. Assault, you take the bomb from your base. You also have to defend your base, but you take the bomb from your base, take it to the enemy's base, plant the bomb, defend the bomb, and then it detonates and you get a point. Though that type of stuff is much more exciting than just go sit in a hill. And in that mode, Total Control, for the most part, you're spending a lot of time towards the center of the map, because that's usually where all the capture points are located. Instead of like spending time in your base defending stuff, or spending time over on their base killing the enemy. You're just like moving around the middle of the map, just standing in little zones trying to cap them. It wasn't too exciting. And when it comes to capture the flag, I don't like the changes they made to that. So the capture point for the flag, where the enemy team goes to capture your flag and where you go to capture their flag, is always on your base, on the top of the base on the map Fragmentation. That stays the same. But where your flag is located and where the enemy's flag is located, it changes every time that flag is captured. So the flag doesn't spawn on the flag capture point necessarily. Sometimes it'll spawn off to the side of the base. And once you cap it, once you go and cap the enemy's flag, then next time the flag will spawn in a different location on their side of the map. That is really a change for the sake of change. I don't see how that improves anything. Just kind of adds more of like I guess it's not, I'm not sure if it's totally random. Like, I don't know if it's the same rotation where the flag moves every time, but either way, it just seems really unnecessary. And I think it's more exciting to have to actually get onto the enemy's base, get on top of it and grab the flag and then take it back to your base, as opposed to just grabbing it from like the side of their base behind several rocks and just, getting out of there. I think it's cooler. I think it's more exciting if you have to actually get into their base to grab it. So yeah, that definitely seems like a change for the sake of change. Completely unnecessary. I mean, I think that's how I could describe most of the changes 343 made to BTB this time around. Unnecessary. So I don't like those changes they made to capture the flag. And now let's talk about the map itself, Fragmentation. I thought this map was pretty average. Nothing special. I mean, there's rocks and dirt and trees, so visually it's like, okay, it's all right. Other than a couple of like the Forerunner elements, like I feel like this is a map you could put in any game, honestly. Again, other than the Forerunner bases and the hex walls. It's just rocks, trees, dirt, and grass. Nothing revolutionary there. I'm not saying that's a terrible thing. I'm not saying you shouldn't have maps like that. But that's part of the reason that I say it was kind of average. Also, I thought the flow of the map, nothing special. And I definitely feel like that map could use more players. 100%. I don't think it would be too many players if they went above 24. And and like I've been saying, I think 343 should be able to do more than 24 players, considering you could do 16 players back in 2001 with Halo 1, like 20 years ago. Over Xbox Live in Halo 2, you could do 16 players in a game. 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, in Halo 5, you could do 12v12 6 years ago, and you mean to tell me we can't get past 12v12 now? In 2021, rumored to be the largest budget for a video game ever, in development longer than any other Halo game, and we can still only do 12v12? I don't know about that. It's like we added 4 more players to shoot at on each team. You got 4 more players to shoot at, but then we're like drastically increasing the size of these maps. Not compared to CE PC maps, because Halo CE PC maps for Big Team Battle were massive, too big, honestly. But compared to a lot of the Big Team maps, the Big Team Battle maps we've seen in previous Halo games, Fragmentation is pretty large. And I definitely think it could use more players. I mean, there were times where I would pretty much walk around the entire map without seeing a single player. I went around the entire map. I didn't see anybody. Where are they all at? There was also a lot of times where I would move around the map from my base to the enemy's base, and by the time I got to their base, the spawns would flip and they'd start spawning at my initial base. So then I would move back to my initial base, and by the time I got there, they started spawning at the other base, and I'm just running back and forth the giant fucking map, or driving back and forth. And it's just really, really annoying. And I know spawns flipping isn't something that's new to Halo, but it's like, when a map this big, it's even more annoying. So I definitely felt like it could use more players. And I didn't think it was a bad map. I definitely didn't think it was a bad map. I just think it was a really average map in terms of visuals, design, and flow. And let me just compare this map, Fragmentation, to Valhalla from Halo 3 real quick. Not that those maps are alike, but they are similar when it comes to the 2 Forerunner bases on each side with the man cannon, and it's the terrain is similar, I guess. I enjoy playing a map like Valhalla in BTB more than a map like Fragmentation, and that's not me saying that Valhalla, if you put Valhalla in Halo Infinite, that it would play better than Fragmentation. No, because Halo Infinite's a different game with a different sandbox and everything. But when I compare my experience to playing Halo Infinite on Fragmentation and playing Halo 3 on Valhalla, I like the flow of the map. I like the flow of Valhalla more and the experiences I had on that. And no, that's not just nostalgia. You had static weapon spawn locations, static vehicle spawn locations, and you had the base on each side with the man cannon. You had these options to like sit in the base with the sniper and snipe people coming out of their man cannon, or your two teams could both lift out the man cannon and you go to the top of the hill in the middle of the map. You battle for the laser. You have like a river flowing down the middle of the map. You got couple point of interest like the Pelican on the left side, the turret on the right side, the shotgun caves, and just overall, I just feel like that map, I feel like it flowed better. I feel like it had, like I said, more point of interest. And I think it was more iconic and memorable. Because for me, when I was playing Fragmentation, yeah, there was fun moments. There was definitely some cool experiences. But I don't really feel like that was because of the map. I don't think the map really had much to do with the situations that I found myself in. Whereas on a map like Valhalla, because of the layout of the map, how it's designed, you have two teams possibly lifting out the man cannons of each base at the beginning of the game, and then you guys both run up your side of the hill, and then you just clash at the top, you battle for laser, and because of how that map is designed, it kind of guided both teams into that particular scenario. It kind of pushed both teams at each other because of how the map was designed and how the weapons were laid out to both lift out their man cannons and battle top mid for the laser. And I just didn't feel like that was the case on the map Fragmentation. And that's a lot to do with the random weapon spawns, and I'm not just talking about the weapon ordinances, but even the weapon pads and the weapon racks. It's like sometimes each game it'll cycle which weapons are spawning on that weapon pad or that weapon rack. I'm not a fan of that either. I would like it to be the same weapons every time, and I don't think that would be a bad thing. I don't think that would be boring. It's just nice to know what weapons are spawning where. And also just the layout of the map, I didn't feel like it guided both teams into these unique engagements or anything like that. I just felt like when I had my precision weapons, I could just really just move around the map however I wanted, and there was no reoccurring scenarios. Whereas on, again, like a map Valhalla, there were so many times where at the beginning of the game, both teams would push out to top mid to battle for the laser. And not just Valhalla, that's just an example, but that could be said for a lot of other, not just BTB maps, but a lot of other maps in general in previous Halo games. But for me, the map Fragmentation, I didn't really feel like there was any unique or memorable type of flow to that map. And with that, that's going to do it. Those are my thoughts on Halo Infinite Big Team Battle. Again, you may have thought I was being kind of negative in this video, but don't be fooled. I am still having a ton of fun in this game. I'm really enjoying this game. Again, I want to play more right now. I think it's fun. Again, my opinions could change once the game comes out. We'll see, but as of now, from what I've played, I'm really enjoying it. And I enjoyed BTB. I really enjoyed BTB. I thought it was fun. I just don't think it was anything revolutionary. I mean, and how they described BTB kind of made it sound like it was like bigger and better than ever. I mean, I wasn't really getting that vibe. First off, it's 12v12, sure, but Halo 5 did that. The maps are big, but CE had big maps, and I just don't really see it being bigger and better than ever. But it is big and it's good, it's fun. That's what I thought. Nothing revolutionary. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys are thinking of BTB so far. Are you having a good time with it? Do you like the changes they've made? Is there anyone that likes all the changes 343 made? What do you think about the starting weapon? Do you think it should be AR sidekick, or do you think we should start with a precision weapon? And what'd you think of the map Fragmentation? Did you guys really like it, or did you think it was just kind of meh? Anyways, that's going to do it for this one, guys, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.
Here, Paul, take it. I don't want it.
Give me it. Wait, Adam, here. Take this. Oh, wait, here. This is better. My bad. I was not. That time it was not intentional.